Hi, I'm Kelly Hogan. Welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. This is the very first time I have invited a guest back for where is she now? What happened to Anna Maria? And the reason I have invited you back, Anna Maria, is you were an incredibly beloved guest on the show. Well over 100,000 people watched. And I think about that many people commented to say they love you. They just loved you. And it's been a while. It's been about a year and a half since you were
Yeah,
here. Almost.
just about.
I was just wanting to catch up with you, find out how things are going. First of all, maybe in case there's somebody new here, let's just give a quick recap of why you first came to Carnivore. And then once they're kind of caught up with that, we can hear what's happened in the last year and a half.
Gosh, why I came to Carnivore. I actually came to a very critical point in my life, felt like I was hanging off a cliff. And I started to push away the two things that I absolutely could not moderate in my life. And that was just sugars and grains. As an Italian woman, I couldn't moderate those things. So for about 10 months, I fought through and overcame wonderfully. My body started to change. Everything leveled off, healed a ton of things, lost a ton of weight. I think it was about 120 pounds at that point in 10 months. But then something interesting, I just kept having this horrible gastric pain, like a fist coming out of because I'm a journaler and I journal everything that I eat, that I drink, how I sleep, how I poop. Yes, I do everything
Yes.
because I want to know what affects me, right?
Yes.
I noticed there was a common thread. Why is it when I eat asparagus, cauliflower, broccoli, kale, why is it that I get this weirdness? It's supposed to be good for me. What happened? So I said, I really started to seek the Lord. I asked for direction, guys, because I don't, in and of myself, left to my own devices, right? I'm a mess, but I do trust the Lord. And suddenly, Judy Cho's book
Yes.
came up, Carnivore Cure. It came, I did the elimination diet. After 30 days, I tried to reintroduce some things. And let me just tell you, I did a 90-day reset because I knew that would give me the best outcome. Sister never looked back. It's over 2.5 years that I am meat and eggs. I did try cheese for a while, had to eliminate it, and that's okay. Butter. I eat all manner of meat and eggs and butter, and I'm down over 200 pounds at this point. And
Wow.
it's the grace of God because there's no surgery involved. But for me, the mindset is big. If I feel like I'm a failure and I can't succeed at something, I don't do well. So I had to at least give it a good go. And
Yes.
this was my good go. And the Lord blessed it.
So here you are, over 2 years later, over 200 pounds gone, still
Mm.
total carnivore. You said variety of meats. Do you include some seafood or? Yes,
Mhm.
me too.
Indeed.
Eggs are still good.
Yes.
Butter,
Yes.
coffee.
When I want it, I have it. But quite honestly, I lost a taste for it.
Oh,
So I haven't had coffee since like the 4th of July. We're in the end of September. I know. Italian
wow.
girl raised on espresso.
I
I
did
lost
not know
taste.
that. Okay, just lost the taste for
I
it.
go through that. I
Yeah,
lose taste for things. I might go back, but
right.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I
okay.
go through phases too. It just so happens that all of my phases still include coffee. Oh. But I
I
did
love
cut it
it.
out. I was pregnant and breastfeeding for several years at the beginning of carnivore, so I definitely experienced carnivore the first several years without the coffee. And I do think that's worth everybody trying, but that's cool to know. And I have heard of people getting in higher ketosis, and the higher in ketosis they get, the less desire they have for two things: coffee and alcohol.
Shout now. Never
Sure.
been a drinker, so it's all
Yeah.
good. But I feel it with the coffee thing. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. It's good. It's okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you came here in, it was May of 2023, and you shared that you had done some metabolic reset days, which at that point had involved OMADing. Which other ones were you using back in the day?
48-hour fasting.
Yes, water fasts.
Water and salt. Yes,
Okay.
water and salt. I'm very big on salt because I have a pituitary disorder, and
Okay.
salt regulates the kidneys, which regulate the fluids in your body, which are
Okay.
very critical for us.
Yes.
So, as human beings. So, yes, water and salt, I would do that. Spontaneous change of hours of eating, windows of eating,
Yes.
spontaneous number of meals. I
Okay.
would, and then a couple of times I would throw in some protein sparing modified fat fasting days. I didn't like them very much, but they worked for me and helped me break stalls.
Right.
So, yeah, those kinds of things.
So during that first 200 pounds, the first year, year and a half or so, when you were losing, I remember you in that first interview saying when you did hit a little stall, you could change up, or to prevent a stall even, just change up eating windows, change up how many times per day you ate, throw in a 48-hour water fast. Okay, it's all coming back to me now, Anna Maria. This is good. All right, so
Yeah,
since we spoke, what's new? What's happened?
I will tell you. I didn't know that I was suffering from gallbladder disease.
Mm,
I I knew I had issues all my life, since I was about in my early 20s. So all those years of trying those crazy low fat diets, right? Because I
yes,
was a yo-yo dieter.
right.
All of those years doing that, unfortunately, caused the bile to build up in the gallbladder, right? You're not releasing the bile because you're not eating fat, right? You're trying to lose weight, so you're cutting out the fat.
Yes.
That bile crystallized, formed lots of beautiful stones. I had 17 stones in my gallbladder.
Bless it.
My gallbladder, I had it out, and my doctor said, "Girl, you had the prettiest gallbladder I've ever seen." I said, "What do you mean pretty? That thing was a booger. That thing almost killed me. I wanted to punch it." But I did ask him for pictures beforehand because I'm a curious one. I want to
Yeah.
see. It looked like a tiny little corn on the cob with little corn kernels, and I had no sludge. And he goes, "It's your
Oh,
diet. You're carnivore. You eat clean. You have so
yes.
little inflammation." He said it to me. He's like, "Beautiful, beautiful gallbladder." I'm like, "Yeah, but it was doing me an injustice. It was making my liver angry. Like it was causing a lot of issues
Yes.
with the inflammatory markers." So by God's grace, I had that done in August of last year, right? So it's already been a year.
Yes.
So he tells me, "Go home, eat whatever you want." Mm-mm. I tried, but fat was still giving me an issue.
Yeah.
I met with a doctor, and we all know her, Elizabeth Bright. We all love her. She told me, "You got to go high fat." And I was like, "Listen, the high fat stalled my weight, but if it's going to help heal the stress that my thyroid is under
Yes.
due to the surgery and my upcoming knee surgery, I
Okay.
knew I had to prepare for stress on this body."
Yeah.
I tried it. I couldn't. I almost ended up in the hospital. I
Oh.
was in so much miserable pain, and it was bad. My mother just was, I was pale, passing out.
Oh.
So she gave me a, a recommendation for these pills that help you digest fat.
Right.
Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. The bottom line is the gallbladder came out, and I had to study what's going to help me. I'm scared to eat, and I'm a carnivore. I eat
Yes.
fatty meat. I eat a lot of steak. Like, what am I supposed to do? So at some point, someone on one of these forums, because again, we research, said, "Eat smaller meals, go easy, you'll build up to it." I built up to it by God's grace. It took time,
Yes.
right? And it's not easy because I want to eat. I've got an appetite, you know. I want to eat.
Yes.
I don't want to eat a little burger. I want to eat like three or four with butter. So
Yes.
it was a struggle, but
Okay.
I managed to get through it. Sometimes the drugs just don't work for us.
Right.
Not for me. It's worth trying, I think. For me, anything is worth trying. When you hear testimonials of women and men who struggle the way you struggle, and you hear that they overcome with a certain element, it's worth trying that high fat.
Sure.
I did it, I had to,
Yeah.
and I knew that it wasn't good for me because I had tried it before.
Yeah.
So just give it a go. I gave it a go for 2 weeks, killed me,
Mm,
gave the go to smaller meals as a gallbladder surgery, right?
yes.
Issue and gone. Thank God. Now I'm eating bacon, pork belly.
Oh,
The other day I finally put some little brisket fat
yeah.
because I made brisket here in Florida for my family. I took some of that in the air fryer. Woo! That
Oh,
was first time I ever did that, but I didn't eat a lot. I made sure to leave meat on it because I got to be careful with the fat because of the lipedema. We'll get into that.
yes. Okay. So gallbladder, your doctor,
Healed.
I find it kind of interesting though that your doctor said based on your current diet, he felt like your gallbladder is beautiful based on carnivore. So he didn't blame carnivore for the crystals. No.
He understands the body's process of the buildup of the bile to help drip down and break down the fat that we eat. So
Yeah.
if anything, well, it helps you. He said that there was evidence that my gallbladder was expelling these stones. So
Yes.
there's a chance if I would have stuck with it, that they would have continued to be expelled because he saw the opening was larger
Yeah.
out of the gallbladder. The
Oh,
bile wasn't necessarily the issue. It was the fact that the stones were starting to come out with the bile.
I
So
see.
he explained that to me, and I thought, wow, but I didn't want to go through that pain anymore.
Yeah.
It was debilitating.
Yes.
I want to live. Yeah.
Right. I ended up with gallbladder issues after the birth of my third child, Annie, because while I was pregnant with Annie, I was having some what felt like acid reflux kind of and some belly pain. And my doctor said a very high percentage of pregnant women need to be on omeprazole. I was like, oh, okay, doctor, I'll trust you on that one. I noticed that the brand Prilosec said on there to not use more than 14 days. I was like, okay, but my doctor put me on it for the entire length of the pregnancy. But it's your doctor. And I took it and it made me feel better. And then as soon as the baby is born, like with all most pregnancy issues, you just stop taking whatever it was. And I have since found out that people who are put on acid inhibitors and then they take it for a long time, it retrains your gallbladder, and then you stop, and then your gallbladder just gives up the ghost. So I ended up with a really slow functioning gallbladder. But I totally empathize with what you're saying because when you're having that issue, you're like, get it out because I can't get out of bed. And some people are like, you can do some cleanses and give it time. And I'm like, I'm dying. It must go. And so, like you, I had it removed. But I was able to get back to my normal diet pretty quickly. But it's good to hear that for you, the fix was just smaller meals and work your way up. And I'm so glad you're eating back to your happier, almost back to normal, right?
Oh, definitely back to normal.
Oh, good,
Definitely.
good,
Beautifully back to normal. Yeah.
wonderful. I should
Yeah.
mention back to totally normal, happy carnivore, which in
That's
our
right.
world is the normal, right? That's
Yeah.
yes, right.
100%.
Exactly.
Perfecto.
Great. All right. You mentioned your knee surgery. Talk to me about
Yep.
that.
Yeah. Um, I got to tell you, no doctor would have touched me at 397 pounds. That was my high. In fact, I would go because my leg was so stiff and frozen. I was walking like a pirate,
Mm.
literally like a pirate. Young woman, like, and I was like, what do I do? And they're like, you've got that mass on your knee,
Oh,
lymphedema caused by the lipedema.
I
So I
see.
had an overflow, I had an excess. It was terrible. He was like, I don't know anybody who can help you. He's like, you got to do something. So I went back to him at 60 pounds lost. This is when I was still yo-yoing,
Yeah.
definitely not committed. And he was like, good start. I'm like, we mean good start? Do something. And he was like, yeah, no, you're gonna have to keep losing.
Oh,
And I almost gave up hope. I forgot about the knee because I was so excited about this new lifestyle change, right? Your
yes.
mindset changes. You start focusing properly. And I kind of just lived with this. I
Yeah.
had less redness, less swelling, less inflammation, but I was still partially bone on bone with literally a lightning strike for bone formation
Oh,
from femur down to, yeah, it was bad. But I managed because I was starting to feel good. I was looking good. The inflammation was gone.
Yes.
But then I realized I can't even bend my knee in the bed. I can't straighten it out in the bed when I go to sleep. Something. I get to the doctor and he's like, there's no way I want to operate on someone who's not even 52 years old. This was last year. He said, you're going to end up in a wheelchair in just a few years. And I'm like, I did not come all this way to end up in a wheelchair. I'm fighting to save my life. I couldn't get out of bed previously. And now that I'm well, no, book it, Dano. Let's do this. Book it. And so he was like, I got an opening next Thursday. I need you in for pre-op, all these tests. I'm like, when? He's like, right now, go now. I got in my car. And this is something I had been praying about. I got my mobility back. It's a struggle, okay? But with this change in my life comes a big responsibility, and I'll tell you why. As a 52-year-old woman, I don't want this surgery redone in 20 years or 15 years or however medical science proves it can last.
Right.
I need to stay strong. How do you stay strong? You've got to build up the muscles around your knee. Tibialis, which is the muscle in the front of your shin below your knee, and you
Yes.
have to build up the quads.
Okay.
So it was about 8 months, maybe 9 months after I was healing and I saw that I was doing better. I was doing physical therapy on my own. After I was released from physical therapy, I realized it's time to go to the next level, people. We have to push. There's a next level that we have to fight for in our lives. It comes in seasons.
Yes.
This one's mine. I grabbed a hold of it, but not until there was a change of mindset. So the mindset change is pretty big for me. And if it's okay, Kelly, I'm going to read something that
Yes.
really ministers to me. There are a ton of scriptures. For me, the foundation is the word of God. It's alive, it's powerful, changed my life
Yes.
many years ago. Amen.
Amen.
Psalm 139 says, how precious also are thy thoughts unto me, O God. How great is the sum of them. If I should count them, they are more in number than the sand. When I awake, I am still with thee. Listen, if you read that whole psalm in its entirety, it's precious. Look at how much the Lord thinks about me and you.
Mm.
So much. We can't even imagine his intentions towards us. And here I am with a form of body dysmorphia because of my pituitary disorder, because of the inadequacies that I felt as a woman, unworthy of a husband because I couldn't bear children with this thing, whatever this was. I went through my life like this, and it was only in May that a friend pointed out, like, girl, why don't you get married? And I'm like, well, I want it, but then I don't want it. And she's like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I never felt worthy. She
Mm.
goes, you need to go to prayer. You're a Christian. Something's wrong with you. You know the Lord wants to speak to your heart and heal you. Went to prayer and realized that this sense of unworthiness was latched onto me miserably. That even though I had, the fear of God and the joy of the Lord, I never let go of that in my heart until the end of May, where I repented and the Lord showed me that I am worthy because I'm his.
Yeah.
And by the grace of God, through reading the word, he's showing me every day. And that's how I was able to, boom, talk about your box jumping, girl. Next level.
Yes.
And I engaged, I surrounded myself, just a few people that I knew had endured and overcome in what area. It's time to build this muscle, right?
Yes.
So there is this gentleman who's a brother in the Lord. He gives me so much confidence. He showed me how to go easier on the weights, do more repetitions so I don't harm my knee.
Yes.
I was able to show him my legs so that he had an understanding of the lipedema
Yes.
and my battle with it. It's been 8 weeks,
Okay.
and I notice, people in my life notice. My mother stopped me and said, girl, your hips. I'm like, I know, mama. They're coming in. Everything's tightening up.
Yes.
nicely. There's a toning, there's a change. It's going to take years, but I'm on the right track. So that gives me peace.
Yes.
And having said all of that, I realize that the change of mindset is what is so needed in our lives.
Yes.
We never arrive, but we have to continue to find the fight. And this is what I'm constantly posting on Instagram. To find that fight in you and don't give up. Don't find the fight and thrust forward. You must. And by the grace of God, I can and I will. Period. That's it.
Oh, that's so good. But it does start with this sense of because the fight is worth it, and because I am loved and cherished and I am worth it, and I'm not going to just lay down and give up on this. And I am created in an ability to heal, and he wants me to. He
Thank
wants
you, Lord.
us to. Yes.
Can I just say the importance of community?
Yes.
Kelly, I have intermittently been in and out of your groups
Yes.
because of my schedule stuff. But people join groups and community stuff for different reasons, okay? Some need to know where to begin. Some need the encouragement. Some need the camaraderie. Some need community. Camaraderie, community was where I was at.
Yes.
When I joined you, I had already lost 165 pounds and I watched you and I said, this one, she's my sister. She
Oh,
loves the Lord. She's
yes.
carnivore. I'm like, I wish she lived next door. We'd be
Oh,
hanging out. We'd be having coffee. It was great. And I joined. And here's the thing. I'm going to say this on behalf of everyone. I'm going to say this on behalf of the community that watches you.
okay.
Listen to me, Kelly. The way that you do your research and the way that you willingly share it, the way that you are non-judgmental and you present it and then you encourage. That is beautifully encouraging and inspiring to all of us. And I want to thank you on our behalf. You are one of my favorites. I'm telling you right now, you, and can I just say she's a sister and a friend of ours, right? Um, Anita, ketogenic woman. The two of you have similar,
Oh,
and you minister in different ways to people. And it's such an amazing blessing to all of us. So that's why I take the time to say, thank you, thank you. Keep at it. Don't give up. And may the Lord strengthen you because we need you. We need each other. Community, right?
Anna Maria, thank you. That was beautiful and did my heart a lot of good. Thank you. And you
Sister, you
always in
deserve
the
it.
groups bring such joy and warmth, and you are an encourager. So anytime you're on the screen, I'm happier. It's good. But I
Thank
think
you.
it is important because there will probably be many people watching who say, I do want to move forward. I do want to feel worthy and loved. I do want to care for this body, but I keep going back to the things that hurt me. I keep going back to this life that I think sometimes people think they deserve, even if they don't consciously think they deserve it. There must be something there that makes them think, I don't deserve this better life. But surrounding yourself with people who are carnivores, surrounding yourself with people who are thriving, who want you to succeed. And in my opinion, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, like-hearted people who are on the same path, it's huge.
For me, I remember the pain that I endured.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps me from going back that route.
Yes.
I also set myself up, and I'm going to tell you why. You see, with this exercising, when you work out the way that I do, like I'm lifting weights, girl. I am like pushing. I am like,
Wow.
it's not easy. When I do that, I know that I'm tearing fibers in my muscles. I know that water starts to come, it's retained. And then there's inflammation. So what can happen and what's probable is weight gain. So
Yep.
I set up, I've got to listen, I'm not trying to deal with no sabotage in my life because if I get on a scale and I see too much of this and it's
Yes.
probable, like I had to settle it. So I ain't getting on a scale. So how did I set myself up to avoid the sabotage? I look at two things. How do I feel?
Yep.
wow, sister feels good. Like those endorphins are flowing. The dopamine hit is amazing. I never leave the gym going, oh, thank God it's over. I'm always like, oh, thank you, Jesus. I want to keep going.
Yeah.
And I can sometimes overdo it. And I was reminded by another dear friend. You met her this weekend, Heather Perillo,
Oh man.
right?
Muscles.
She's a
Yeah.
blessing. I noticed she was following me on Instagram and I found her. And then I reached out to her. All it took was one phone call. She
Oh.
blessed me so much. You know what she reminded me of? Anna Maria, take care of her. I said, who am I taking care of? Who's her? She said, you. Don't overdo it.
Mm.
You need rest in between your workouts. And it was a godsend that she spoke to me when she did and that we met when we did, because I was just embarking and I was wanting to go 6 days a week like a beast because
Yeah.
that's my mentality.
Right.
And I have to kind of bring it down. But here's the other thing I set myself up with so that I don't sabotage myself. Not only how do I feel, but how do my clothes fit?
Hmm.
Girl, I hope you're gonna post them pictures
Oh,
because
yes.
when I look at
Yes.
my hips before and now I'm looking at my shape now, like I'm thinking, wow, imagine 2 years from now, imagine 3 years from now. And it's not about the pride thing. Let me tell you something. I want to do the best that I can with this vessel. I do. I
Yeah.
want to honor the Lord. I want to have an abundant life. I want to be mobile. I don't want to be dependent on anyone, which is the biggest why that I had when I came to this lifestyle. So, having said that, we have to fight the sabotage. Find that community. I'm always telling people, jump in, get to Kelly. She will encourage you, and you get to hear what others are doing.
Yep.
You get to try different things that are worth it. And then another thing, guys, we all have different issues, right? We're born with all kinds of crazy issues in our lives. The lipedema thing is worth mentioning at this point, I
Yes.
think.
There are probably people watching right now who do not even know what lipedema
No
is.
clue.
For one thing, lymphedema, they sound so much alike. People get that confused. And it's very under researched and very under talked about, in my opinion. So, lipedema, this is something that you were
Yeah,
born with, something you were diagnosed with at what point? What's your lipedema
yeah,
story? What is it?
sure. I love Dr. Ben Bickman, biomedical scientist, right? You've
Yeah,
had him on your show, very
love him.
helpful, an incredible researcher of fat, adipose tissue. The man is always in a microscope checking out the fat cells. And there is a video online. If anybody is suffering from lipedema, look up Ben Bickman lipedema. It's worth it. It's long, it's very detailed, but if you're anything like me, you want to learn because you want to overcome, right? This is a connective tissue disorder that affects the fat cells. Namely, it is an excess in production of collagen right under the skin, mostly affects women in the limbs, mostly below the hips, right? Below the waist, mostly legs. What ends up happening with lipedema is that collagen excess causes the fat cells, instead of like these thin walls that are malleable,
Yes.
they become rigid and it forms a state of fibrosis, which is, if anybody has lipedema, painful.
Mm.
You can sometimes not walk because you feel like you're carrying bricks in your legs. I've lived it.
Yeah.
It's miserable. There are nodules in your fat. When I moved out here, my brother's got 11 children here in PA, right? They would come, tee, 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 tee. They would call me and we would hang out and they would just sometimes just lean on my legs, because I'm real close with them.
Yes.
Honey, I would
Oh,
jump. My mother would go, why do you do that? You're scaring them. I'm like, Mom, my fat hurts.
yeah.
And I couldn't explain why. Lipedema goes undiagnosed
Yes.
for most women. So they may say it's like 73 million people that have it. I think that's the
Way
tip of the
more.
iceberg.
Me too.
How many? Yeah, it's much more. And that's what happened to me. I was going to physical therapy for one aspect of my knee issue, right? This is years ago, 10 years ago. And the physical therapist said, she was a woman, she said to me, oh, honey, you've got lipedema. I got what? She's like, yeah, no, they didn't tell you got lipedema. And I'm like, I just thought I was fat, obese. This is what I was always, she's like, listen to me. You might have excess weight on you, but you've got lipedema. You need to deal with it. So
Yeah.
I had to deal with it. And at that point, I was really heavy. Um, and there are things you can do to help ease the pain and remedy the swelling.
Okay.
It's very difficult, but I actually found several things through this physical therapist. I bought compression stockings, I want to call them.
Yeah.
They literally are like these wraps with Velcro from my foot, because even my foot just below the toes would puff up.
Mm.
My ankles, they call them cankles, like
Yeah.
your calves kind of fall over your ankles. And then all the way up to my thighs, and you'd have to sleep with them, right? So you feel like a mummy because you're wrapping, and I could barely bend to do it. My brother's kids would help me do it. The girls would come in and, Titi, time to go to bed. We'll help you. And they would,
Oh,
it was so difficult. But the body believes that there's too much fluid under those wraps. So it
okay.
kind of pushes the fluid up and you have to go to the bathroom a lot, but that's okay. At least you're getting rid of, because what
Yeah.
is this really? It impairs the lymphatic system. That's why I love your groups, Kelly. All this
Oh,
stuff,
yes.
huh? We do all the activating the vagus nerve and the lymphatic system. We need to understand that the lymphatic system is impaired, circulation is impaired, and it can cause lymphedema, which just basically means there's excess fluid. The lymphatic system purges fluid out of the cells. When it's impaired, it remains the proteins, the fluids, the water, and you have this mass. And I have like this overhang on my left knee. That's
Oh,
why the doctors wouldn't touch me with the left knee surgery.
yes.
Bottom line, I changed my way of eating,
Yeah.
the low carb lifestyle. Carnivore was the best. Why? The most anti-inflammatory way of eating. That's number one. Best way. Contoured my body. Contoured. It was incredible what was happening with my legs. I now have some deflated balloons, but that's okay. Now I'm firming them up, right?
Right.
So my massage therapist, because I go for lymphatic drainage once a month,
Awesome.
self-care. It's very gentle. You can't do deep tissue stuff on these legs. You can't do it.
Yeah.
Gentle. She said to me, are you weight training? I'm like, why? What do you see? It's only been 8 weeks. This just happened.
Uh,
She said to me, your calf muscles, you are so defined. She touched my triceps. I'm like, come on, for real? She's like, girl, you got a runner's butt. I'm like, go
oh,
ahead.
awesome.
So 8 weeks, big change.
Yeah.
Back to the lymphedema. That deflated some, but I
Okay.
still have some overhang, and that's okay. Um, Gentle massage, aquatic exercises.
Yep.
Okay. I would go into the pool. I couldn't do much because I couldn't move. Remember, I had bricks for legs,
Yes.
like layers of bricks. Little kicks, little leg lifts, little bit, whatever little movement I can do with that stiff knee. I
Mhm.
did what I could. Sauna wasn't good for me and I didn't know. So I started cold showers, changing the adipose tissue from white to brown, helping it
Yeah.
exit the body. It works. But if I ever tried like a collagen drink, you know that my stomach would rebel so horribly. And I
Oh,
believe that was the body's way of protecting me because of the buildup of collagen in my
yes.
legs.
Yes.
Fearfully and wonderfully made. God knows what we need. I was told it can't be done.
Hmm.
I was told that I will always be big. I was told I will always not be able to walk. You have to hear the lies. I want to tell you that when it comes to this lipedema, it's a battle and it's consistent. I went from a stage 3.5. I was almost at the fourth stage. I am just above stage 1, maybe point 2, point 3. I'm getting there. I hope to inspire others. When you ask me on, when I talk to you, for me, it's not the opportunity to grow a channel or to get your Instagram out there. You helped me in all of those things. You're the one that told me you need a YouTube channel, and I started it.
Yes.
But Kelly, you know what it is? You took the time of day when I had a question. This is before I joined your group. So over 2 years ago, you took the time of day to answer me. I want to be that inspiration too. I want to take the time of day to answer, especially women. A lot of them are homebound. A lot of them, there's hope. I will pray with them. And I do have a small group of women that I pray with and share a little devotion, and then we apply it to our health journey. It's just something, little friends, that we've met throughout this journey. And it's a blessing. To me, it's a way to serve the Lord and inspire others.
Yeah,
That's what we're here for. We don't just keep this hidden, we share it. It's a blessing.
that's exactly right. I had somebody over the weekend, I was at a meetup, and he said, I just think it's so nice that you take the time to share. I said, no, when you are healed, whether it's spiritually, physically, mentally, you want to talk about it. Because when you're in the lifeboat, you want to bring other people into the lifeboat. You remember
Come
what
on.
it's like to be drowning. And I'm with you, Anna Maria. This is far more than I want to grow a channel. I want somebody out there who has been told you have lipedema and it's hopeless, or you have a weight issue, it's genetic, it's hopeless. You have type 2 diabetes, you're on medicine forever, it's hopeless. None of it is hopeless. Hope abounds. And by hearing people's stories who have lived through it like you, it
That's what did it.
inspires them to go, okay, I can
Yes.
try. I can try.
100%. 100%. And Kelly, in our trying, right? You're very big on the whole happy scientist thing.
Yes.
I think it's worth mentioning that for me, as a lipedema sufferer,
Yes.
right, as someone with this disease that is pretty much dormant, I want to say that for me, eating low fat
Mm.
is the ticket. Where for others, it's worth trying the higher fat because, right, you've seen it
Yeah.
in your own groups. And there are women who they have lipedema and they do better fat fasting, where
Yes.
I would end up swollen and not well.
Right.
It's worth trying. The thing is, don't give up.
Yes.
That's the whole ticket. We've just got to fight. You find the fight. And again, my foundation, your foundation. I know it's the word. You wouldn't be able to do anything without
Right.
being aided and guided by the grace of God, right?
Yes.
By the grace of God, I can and I will. Hard stop right there. Everything else, it fades in comparison. It's nothing.
Oh,
Grace
yes. Amen to that. Absolutely. And I love what you said, the happy scientist. So if somebody has just been trying general carnivore, many times that is, for me and you both, beautiful, such great results. And I'll say, if that's not doing it for you, it could be cutting out the dairy and the eggs. It could be for some people. I don't just mean lipedema. Just some people are very sensitive to dairy, especially cheese and egg whites. It could
Yeah.
be, hey, maybe you do better, like Anna Maria and my friend Linda Salant, who also has lipedema, has to do higher protein, lower fat carnivore. We're not talking low fat in the terms of like 10 grams a
Moderate.
day. Yes, adequate, moderate fat, but higher on the
Yes.
protein. For her, I want to say that looks like around 55 to 60%
To me.
of fat. Okay, perfect. That's where she feels her best with lipedema. And then I have a friend, Siobhan Huggins, who also has lipedema, and she has gotten her best results from, yes, cold plunging, but she has to throw in fat fasting occasionally, and she has gotten good results with that. But what you said
Yeah.
is so important. Have a way of tracking, whether you're just tracking, it doesn't have to be the scale. How do I feel? How do my clothes fit? How is the swelling and pain in my leg today? Some data point, you could even rate it 1 to 10, have some, or measure the ankle or the leg, right? And then some way of saying, whether you're tracking on Carb Manager, your exact macros, or saying, for 2 weeks, I'm going to try to increase fat. And maybe for the next 2 weeks, try going lower, more like chicken thighs, little red steaks instead of really fatty steaks to see, because it's so individual. But just knowing that you can look at your own data, hopefully will give people hope.
Critical. Critical. Logging it for me, the journaling from day one,
Yeah.
from June 1st of 21, that I went low carb, and then 10 months later, carnivore. I've got these Google sheets with everything, the time I ate, and that's what helped me find that common denominator so that I can fight. And then you said something about 2 weeks. Yes, a minimum of 2 weeks is
Yeah.
what I've always done. You got to give your body a chance to acclimate and
Yes.
to work through the change. And then you see how it goes. Very critical. Got to be patient. We're a little rough. We go a
Yeah.
little too fast sometimes. We want the results. It's not easy.
Be that happy scientist. Get curious. Ask yourself a question. I wonder
Yeah,
how much better I would feel in 2 weeks if I tried and then do it. See what happens.
and then do it.
Because there's only one way to find out, right? That's it. One way to
We
find
have
out.
to be our own advocates.
Yeah.
We have to be our own happy scientists, and we've got to fight and move forward. And you ready? I'm going to throw one other thing out there. I'm going to do something that I've never done before to challenge myself.
Okay.
This is another next level thing.
Yeah.
I've never counted macros.
Oh,
I've never weighed anything. And I just, yes, maybe a burger patty to understand and gauge what I'm eating. But because of this weight training and because I'm so inspired about my legs
yes.
coming in and forming like the butt and everything, the glutes, I am going to do macros and I'm slowing down on how many times I eat because I'm like you pretty much now. I do 2 to 3 a day, especially working out. I'm like a beast. I want to eat like if there was a low flying duck after the gym, I want to bite its booty. It's not good. I'm starving.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing some macro work and including 1 or 2 lower fat days,
Yep.
potentially one higher day, because I want to now concentrate on coming into my a little bit less weight. I'm inspired. I can lose more weight. So we'll see how it goes.
Exciting. All right. I think key takeaways: use your own results to guide you in the future. Be a happy scientist. See yourself and truly feel the worthiness in you to avoid this self-sabotage as if you deserve this life and this pain. You don't. You
That's
don't.
fire right there. Fire.
Yes.
Hmm.
Once you have done the things that are healing your body and you say next level for you, next level right now is lifting the heavy things. Yes, build that muscle, baby. I love it. And if someone is listening who does have lipedema, go down that rabbit hole. I'm going to put some links for people to delve in, how you
Wonderful.
can know if you have it, what to do if you have it. And you listed a few things that have been helpful to you too. If folks are struggling with gallbladder, y'all need to know me and Anna Maria are not the experts. We did not do the things. Ours are gone. Farewell. But what
Bye.
yeah, but I get a lot of folks who say, I can't do carnivore because I don't have a gallbladder. And I'll say, oh, well, I got news for you, baby. Neither do we, right? And
That's it.
it can be done. There's still
It
hope
can
for
be done.
folks. Yeah, I think those are really important things for folks to hear today. Give it a
I
go.
think for anyone who's struggling, I like to always just say, listen, you are so precious in the sight of God. You may not see it, but he sees you. He's with you. You must fight through. You are worth it. Get up. Surround yourself with others, like-minded people.
Yeah.
We're not going to judge you. We're going to support you. It's not easy, but you can do it. If I can do it, I'm convinced you could do it too. Absolutely.
Yes. I love it. You inspire me, Anna Maria.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming back for this update.
As do you. You are a joy and a blessing to this community. Thank you, my sister.
Thanks, and I look forward to seeing you again
Yes.
as often as possible. All right. Love you.
Yes, amen. I
Bye.
love you. Bye.
Oh, I feel good about that.